All right, we are live. Candy's starting us off with 5 memberships. If you got here early, you just had a really good chance at winning one of those memberships. Lots of benefits. We've refreshed the page on the website to help you know what you get. One of these days I'll pull it up and read it off because I forget a third of the stuff every time. So today we're going to talk about koi and ponds. And the reason why, my store manager asked me, could you do a video to help train employees and myself and that kind of stuff on just kind of selling koi and all of that. And so I ended up doing a whole video for my staff, but then also the retail partner stores, which they'll get access to here real quick. And then I thought, I have all these resources, or I've laid out this plan. I could also talk about it, to you guys. So I thought, it's not necessarily a dedicated release video. Let's go ahead and, just do this, live. So trying to get my stuff. There we go. Yeah, and it's on season, I guess. We're just coming into pond season here, and we'll have the membership talk coming up, I think next month. I can't remember, but soon we have Ted Coletti talking about summer tubbing and like smaller ponds outside. And so I thought I would talk about kind of koi and some of the easier types, because koi can be very intimidating. If you're around super koi nerds, they're basically speaking Japanese around you and you don't realize it. And it's really hard to follow. And so I'm going to break it down with like the true Japanese basic koi, and we'll build from there. And I'll tie it back into tropical fish as well, because that's my job. So let me try to get things kind of set up here, which this took me a little bit. I even figured out you might even be able to see my pointer for once, which you never get to see my pointer on the screen. So let's see here. Let me expand this. Whenever you start screen sharing, I'm always afraid I'm going to share business stuff I'm not meaning to show. But here we go. We're going to go right here. It should work. All right. So, the 3 main types of koi. There's basically, we started from 3 and everything kind of derives from that. So the first one would be the Kohaku, which fancy words for red and white. So just remember, one of the main basic kois is only red and white. Pretty basic. Then we've got the Sanke, which is red, white, and black. Pretty easy. Like, okay, we added a color. And when we think of koi, I think we think red, white, and black. And then the other third choice is the Showa. The Showa is also red, white, and black. Okay, well that's confusing because you just said Sanke is red, white, and black. The difference between the two, the Sanke, the main body color is going to be white, and the main body color in the show is going to be black. It's really hard. I'll explain it though. So, first we're going to talk about Kohakus. Here we go. There's a million variants. We're not going to focus on the variants. 2-step, 3-step, Toncho. We'll touch on a little bit down the road, but for the most part, just burning into your brain, red and white fish. That's what you got to know. Kohaku, real easy to remember. Lots of different ones here. And so now you're going to go, wait, here's a koi male guppy. Normally we see them as a koi male guppy, but really it should be a Kohaku male guppy because it's only red and white. And so for whatever reason, that hasn't fully made it over to tropical fish yet, but red and white, it's the easiest one to remember, just red and white. So next up, you've got the Sanke, which Google thinks you want to say snake, and you don't. You want to say Sanke. And this is a good example right here. Oh, it's kind of off the screen. Hold on, let me try to fix that up a little bit here. Can I shorten that? Yep, power of the internet. Here we go. We shorten that up right there. And so the one right above me, you can see that it has a white body base, it has red, and it has black. That would be a Sanke. Now, this is also a Sanke the red spot to people know, they know like that's a Toncho, but we're not learning that yet. Here's another example, that red, white, and black. And let's see here if we can find, there's probably more here we can look at. Yeah, all these are examples of red, white, and black. Next up, we've got the Showa. Now, remember, the Showa is supposed to kind of come from a dark body, but it's also red, white, and black. And so, to make it easy, we're going to look at some that have heavy black here. And so where we're going to see some differences is on the white scales. You see the white scales? You can see how there's little bits of black underneath it. That's because the body is mainly black, and then it turns white and red on top of that. And I'll try to find a good example of a fish that's, when you buy them much younger. And so maybe here's a good example. You can see on this left-hand fish here, there's like a shadow almost on the white parts. That's because those are going to become black scales later in life. Koi change a lot from the 4 to 6 inch all the way up to maybe the 18 to 30 inch mark. And so let me see if I can find any more good examples of that. Because once you get these 3 basics down, you know most of the koi that people care about. Here's one that's almost all orange and black, which we're gonna teach you what Ginrin means, and then also like if there was no white, I think I should back up a step here. There's like 1,000 different koi names. So I think if it's just black and white, just black and orange, I think it's a Becco or a Becco koi. I think. I don't know. You'll never need to know. You can look it up if you ever buy one. And yeah, here's some different Showa patterns. So each one of these would have its own name. You will never need to know that. You won't. You can look it up. You can memorize it. This is not that course. So I do want to relate this to tropical fish though. And let's look at the koi angel. So here's a basic koi angel above me. And you can see here's a nice dark red and black koi angel. And so why we call it the koi angel? Well, it's got red, white, and black, right? So remember, the main 3 types of koi, you have red and white, which is Kohaku. And by the way, this really helps if you say it out loud at home. If you're not sitting around people or you're at work or whatever, you say it out loud, you can start, your brain will remember it more. And when you have to pull it out of the vault at the next pond store you're at or whatever, you'll remember a little better. So red and white, Kohaku. You've got basically both the tricolor, red, white, and black, Showa, and Sanke. And you'll never need to know which one is dominant black, because when you're buying small koi, you pretty much have to grow them out to really see anyway, because they both look identical. If you don't know lineage, you really won't know. So here, if we were really carrying across the koi part of angelfish, we would start seeing like, oh, you could actually call this one a Showa koi. And then you might start seeing things like, maybe this one. Maybe this one's more of a Sanke, right? But we did break some of these out when it comes to swordtails. So if we look at Kohaku koi swordtails, we know that Kohaku means red and white. Yeah, there's a bunch of swordtails that are basically only red and white. And that's why they get called a koi or a Kohaku swordtail. Now, there's lots of trade names. We give that all the time. Like you can see they're also called Santa Claus, and anything that'll sell a fish, it'll get that name. Then we look at the Showa swordtails. The Showas, for the most part, you see this is normally what you see. Black, white, and red. Also just get sold as, you can see right here. This person's asking, it's probably Reddit or something, or our forum, oddly enough. Okay, plug for our forum. Anybody have Showa or Sanke koi swordtails? Like, it's totally common to not know. If you look at a koi, like, is that Showa or Sanke? You can't really know unless you know the lineage, or it's a super adult and you're a mega koi nerd. So don't sweat that part. If you walk into a store and you call these Sankes, no one's really going to care. These are more, I would say they're more Showa because they're heavily black bodied on most of them, but this is from the same parents, and you could make an argument that these ones are more Showa and these ones are more, more Sanke. Doesn't matter. But I wanted to tie in, why do we get koi names for tropical fish? So, and all these fish are pretty common to come by. These aren't too hard to get. So don't, if you're geeking out going, wow, I've never seen those before. Well then, now you know. Now you can go in and you can talk and say, I'm looking for some specific breeds of tropical fish as well. So we covered red and white Kohaku. I'm going to keep repeating these, by the way. The more you hear them, the more you say them, the more you will learn them. So if your goal is really to actually learn them, this is very helpful. So the red and white Kohaku, the red, white, and black Sanke, red, white, and black Showa, and then you've got the Toncho. All right? And so what does the Toncho mean? The Toncho means you have a red dot, looks like the Japanese flag, and it's usually an all-white body with a red dot. Now, the more perfect that red dot is, the deeper red it is, those are all good things. Now, you don't always get perfect dots. In fact, you almost never do. And if you do get a perfect dot at a big size, you've got a lot of money on your hands, typically. Well, you could. What's more common when you're buying from a pet store, you're going to get what's called a Toncho or a thumbnail Toncho. And what does that mean, Corey? Well, let's scroll down here. That's like this guy right above me on the screen. You see that if you hold up your thumb, you're like, wait, my thumbnail looks like the shape of that Toncho. Very common for those to get set aside and get sold as a Toncho. Now, not as a high-end thing. You wouldn't go, oh, I'm spending $600 on that fish. That wouldn't happen. But if you're at a pet store and you're looking at a mix of fish, that might be in there, and you're going, hey, I could get basically a budget Toncho, and that would be fun to keep. And for the most part, with these types of fish, what I'm really trying to teach is some basics, and then things that you can do to, like, just have different colored fish at home and go, hey, I've got a Toncho, hey, I've got a thing. And technically, like, all of these three are Tonchos as well, where you're like, that one's almost all black. It's the red dot that is the important part. You start getting into stuff like this, and I think this, even I start getting fuzzy. This might be an Asagi Toncho. You start mixing, because there's going to be some modifiers we're going to start working on also, like types of scales and things like that. You can get pretty complex. So we're keeping it as basic as possible, the main groups. The main koi food groups. So red dot on the head, Toncho. We might have a question. I'm not seeing it here, but you might say, isn't a Toncho most times also a Kohaku? Yes. So you can see this name here, Toncho Kohaku. You can get, this is a Toncho Sanke, right? So yes, you can, and you start mixing those. So next we have the Ogon koi, and these are mostly solid color, kind of metallically looking. So that's where you're going to get your platinum koi. That's where you're going to get your Yamabuki yellow or orange. Now, this might be a koi that you spend a few $100s on. In the pet store, you might be going, hey, I'm going to buy that yellow one, and you're more expecting, let me find something you're going to bring home and grow out. And it might turn into something like that, but you're going to bring home, like, let me find, I saw some good examples earlier yesterday when I was, like, here's a mix of, that's actually not the right mix there for you. This guy, his yellow's not too intense yet. That would work. As far as what you're going to see at a store. You might see something like this, kind of a lighter yellow. This is a big fish, but we won't get into body size. You can start telling fish by how big their shoulders are, and you're going, koi don't have shoulders. Doesn't matter. So here, this is saying premium Yamabuki, which is yellow, Ogons 8 to 10 inches. You might be saying, like, well, this front fish has lots of orange and stuff. Like, yeah, that's kind of the mix you're going to be picking out. And you might be like, yeah, I got one for $40. Yeah. Where you start looking at a fish like this, and it might have been $4,000. Or, I've the high-end koi, we'll talk about that real quick, but a 2-year koi, so 2 growing seasons, can go in thousands of dollars. You can have fish go all the way up to millions, but, what you're going to see at the pet store is usually under $100. So Ogon fish, usually single colored, could be all orange or all yellow, all platinum color. Every once in a while you see a little bit something else show up that I normally don't see. This is a good example. I thought this was a great example right here. These are Ogon koi that you could walk into most maybe mom and pop stores and you could get this level gold. This gold will get a lot better when it grows up and you take care of it. The platinums always look good kind of from day one. If you're specifically looking at these two fish, you'd say, oh, that split fin may never repair on that platinum, and you might pick a different one for that reason. Now, you also have black. Black gets sold as Ogon a lot. And there's different things about the black koi. One, they don't show that well in a pond. You can kind of see here. Here's a black koi, which is good if you have lots of birds and you're trying to hide your koi, but then you don't get to see them either. The other thing that's very common is there is, what's going to be the best way to say this? Belief, usually Asian culture, with a black koi, it wards off evil spirits or deaths, things like that. And so you'll have people that always want to keep one in their pond. So if they were going to lose a fish, they'll lose that one. If you were going to lose a dog or a family member or something like that, the goal is that the evil spirit will be attracted, or it's something like that, to the black koi, and it's kind of like a soul eater type of deal. So that's why most stores will carry them, because you'll have people that want to keep them in their ponds for those types of reasons, and it's just a different color. They're also very cool to keep in aquariums if you got big aquariums, but that is another one of the Ogon. Now, another big type would be the butterfly koi, which is just a fancier way of saying longfin koi, is all it is. And if you're at a show or a die-hard purist when it comes to koi, you would never consider keeping a longfin. That is a travesty. But they look awesome and they're fun to keep. And so you can get them in any variety. This picture was up because I was showing like this is a pretty common variety that can show up. And I personally don't like this variety because it reminds me of just a Shubunkin goldfish. And I'm trying to get something that would look, you know, if you're getting a nice fancy mix of longfin, you'd get something like this where you've got lots of different things going on. We'll explain some of those patterns and scale types and things going forward. This guy, pretty cool actually, the Asagi with longfin. And there are fish that will just blow your mind, and they can still sell for a lot of money, but they just sometimes at the shows they only get put into other, and they get lumped in with a lot of stuff. There's not even a longfin thing, which, you know, all these types, there's lots of awards, and then there's like other. Yeah, put that in other. And the fins just look cool. You see them in all the paintings when you see koi paintings and things. Yeah. Trying to see if there's any other good example. Here's a koi painting, like, right? You always see the longfin, because longfin, if you're not a koi enthusiast and you just pick out what looks cool, like these Mayan butterflies are new in the last like couple years. I've yet to keep them or bring them in the store. They look cool though. The white fins with the gold and then the black, they look pretty unique and different. So, yeah, and then you've got fish like this where this is not a koi. No one's going, that's the one I want. But here's what I will tell you. This koi right here is young. We can tell, if you deal in koi, you can tell that it's young. And you can see that it's got a lot of black scales underneath the body. So this fish could grow up to be orange face, completely black body, and that might be pretty cool. But just buying it today, it would definitely be towards the end of a batch of left in the bin. Maybe we put them on sale and someone just finds it a home. It also can grow up to be something like this fish on the, you know, the bottom right here, where it's like, just a couple specks of color, and it's a cool pet, but you know, maybe not the looker you want. Where normally in a koi pond, most people are shooting for distinct different patterns or colors so they can name them and you know, just enjoy them, because they're more pets than anything else, which that's what fish are. But you know, something like this is a pretty common, you know, this would be like a high quality butterfly mix. You can see there, like, oh, those fish colors are brighter. I could see like, yeah, some of that Yamabuki yellow in there. All right, so longfin. I think we understand longfin, you know, no problem. Don't forget Kohaku, say it again. Sanke, and Showa. Now we go to Ginrin scale, or we call it diamond scale. Kind of a little bit self-explanatory, but you're looking not at like the silver, you're looking at the scales, and if the scales under sunlight shimmer like a diamond, that would be the goal of these things. So if they're nice and shiny, then you've got kind of the diamond scale. We're going to look at a few examples of those. So if we look at, like, here's a Yamabuki. We were talking about yellow, right? This is a yellow Yamabuki, Ogon, but it has the Ginrin or diamond scale. You can see that these scales, they look like they're metallic or they've got a sheen that is not normal. This silverfish also has that sheen that makes it look like a diamond. Now, this fish, it is also Ginrin. I was going to say no, it's not, but you can see it a little bit. You can see kind of right here, you can see a little bit of the Ginrin scale. This is a good example to see the scales up close. You see how it's almost like oyster shell or pearl, or it's a top coating on the scales that has nothing to do with pattern. You can have any of the patterns we just talked about, and also in Ginrin scale. We're going to learn a little bit here. I think, the next thing's going to be the Doitsu koi, which is my favorite, actually. But if we look at, like, this fish, for instance, it's got these bigger scales, so it's a different type of pattern, but you can really, that almost looks like gold leaf. Like, that is really intense Ginrin or diamond scale. And then this is YouTube here, but this is a silver version of it, where the scales are nice and metallic and shiny and silver. And so they look really cool in sunlight. If you're just going to keep them in an indoor pond or indoor aquarium, maybe you pass on those. If you're putting them outside, you will fall in love with them because it's like you have a disco ball. They're just so nice. And here we can start seeing we have Ginrin, so diamond scale, Yamabuki, so it's got a little bit of yellow on it. Yellow's not intense yet. So it's an Ogon with diamond scale. It also looks like it might be longfin as well. So, and then you've just got, like, this is a pretty cool looking platinum Ogon. Calling it armor scale. I hadn't really seen that before, but yeah, so kind of easy to pick out these diamond scales. And maybe now that you're looking at the diamond scales, I'm going to flip back to some non-diamond scales so you can be like, what are we looking at again? So if I go back to, like, let's look at what's going to be a good one to show. Yeah, so this is an orange, right? If we go back and look at other Ogons and just look for orange, like this guy, you see how he's got scales, but you see how there's no, like, sheen on it. There's no sparkle, right? It's an orange fish, but it ain't that metallic, right? Maybe we can find another version of that. Let's find, let's see. So here again, just normal. The screen's got to load here. Oh, that's a fuzzy picture, so that ain't gonna work. Well, here's a yellow one, like just yellow. That's not gonna work either. I'm trying to get AB pictures for you guys. Yeah, kind of a. So you can see there's a little bit of stuff around the scale, but it doesn't have that sheen over the scale on this orange Ogon. When we go back to Ginrin, this orange, we can find a different orange too, like maybe this guy, right, or this guy, or girl, could be girl too. So let's move on. We're gonna go to Doitsu. So Doitsu koi are my favorite. To me, it looks like skin instead of scales, and like you tattoo it on. So let's pull up these guys. So I want to show you the clear lines here. You see how you don't see any scales? Like, this looks like it's painted on. There's no scales basically. And they've got, they have some scales along the back. I'm going to show you the few places they usually have scales. Let's see here. Where was some good examples that I wanted to show? It's hard to find. There's one. So you see how this koi, the scales look weird, but basically they have scales sometimes down the lateral line, and then they have them along their back or dorsal fin. And this is a small fish, but everything in between is kind of not there. Right around the fins, sometimes they have it, and sometimes they don't even have it on the lateral line. The less you have, for me, the more desirable it is. And so when you start seeing fish that are Doitsu, let's see here. What are some other good examples that I like? You can just see that the color is very intense. It's like you take that red and you crank it up 5 notches. And so this one's got that black scale all the way down the back. This one kind of doesn't. And this one's got white scale all the way down the back. But I typically, if I'm going to a koi farm, I just straight up ask them, where's your Doitsu? I'm all about the Doitsu. Here's a Yamabuki, which they call it the Haruke. I don't know how to say that. But Doitsu. So remember that yellow? This looks like skin. Even though there's a few scales here, it looks so much different. And when you feel them too, they feel like if you ever pet a hairless cat or a dog, they kind of feel like that. And they don't feel like the scales. And so they are my absolute favorite. You can get them, like, oh, here's a Toncho, Sanke, Doitsu, right? You could, and we saw back here, there was even some Doitsu Ginrin, which are like, Ginrin only affects a scale. These don't even have that many scales. Let me find a version of that we could point out. Where was that gold guy that had, yeah, this guy. Right here. Like, that is an insane fish, by the way. So, Doitsu, my absolute favorite. I like to basically mix that with everything. Like, yes, choose colors. Colors are great. Doitsu usually costs more, a little bit rarer. Not like a ton, though. Like, let's say your average pet shop koi that I would call them, maybe you say, like, hey, they're $10 each. Doitsu are probably $30 each. Here's a good, sometimes you're buying koi this way where you're going to buy the letter. And so maybe they say each one of these fish is $100, and you're bidding or buying each one. And you can see here, like, my absolute favorite fish is black and white, just black and white, which is called a Shiro Utsuri that you'll never need to know. And then Doitsu. But you can just see how the color is just painted on. Where, like, this bottom one, you can see all the scales, and like, yeah, it's good, but it ain't that. So I really, really love Doitsu, if you can't tell. So Doitsu means, I don't know what it means, actually, but just doesn't really have scales, as many scales, and skin. It's basically skin instead of scales. This fish here, butterfly, Doitsu, in my opinion, not that beautiful of a fish. Great fish. I would keep this fish. I just wouldn't go out of my way to buy it. A lot of times there's fish that you had high hopes for. You grow them out. Yeah, they're okay. So we're going to talk about the last type of koi, and then we'll just talk about koi in general a little bit, and then I've got a few add-ons here. The last one is the brown koi. Oof, who wants a brown koi called the Chagoi? Well, nobody kind of did until they did. So the Chagoi, they're bred to get big size and be personable. So that's why I have this hand here, is they will help bring other fish out to come meet you. They are like the puppy dog, and they're bred for that. If the more outgoing and the bigger size the fish is, the brown fish basically, they'll be selected for breeders. So here, this is actually an example. I can show you this part right here where my cursor is. That's considered the shoulder area. And when you get, big shoulder area means, ooh, you're going to have a big fish when it grows out. And these are usually the biggest types of koi that we see. Like, yes, you can grow a championship breeder and anything can be big, but normally the average person can get the Chagoi big, or bigger than their other fish, and they stand out. That brownish copperish hue versus all these other ornate patterns, and then they just happen to be outgoing because they're bred for that. And so, there's a non-metallic version. Here's a grade A one. There's all a little, again, a million different little variants. Here's a Chagoi that's diamond scale, right? This fish kind of reminds me of like a like a native, like a lump sucker or just a carp. They're pretty. I think it's when you make the colors and you're like, oh no, it came out, it's brown, and then but there's also like, oh, this guy's not big enough, but that guy's got a pattern to it and he's still Chagoi. So when it comes to buying fish, let's find something like these, maybe Ogons or something. When you're buying fish, yeah, you just do the best to pick out what you want, but Ogons typically stay the color, but when you start buying like Showas, let's look at Showas or Sankes. Too many snakes there, so we'll show Showas. When you buy them, let's say you're buying out of this group, they're going to change a lot. Like this, you're not going to see, like, the blacks aren't that intense yet, the white's not that intense. Orange or red, really, you almost never want orange in koi. You want red. Sometimes the diet thing, sometimes it's just color. You can improve color or reds in fish by feeding something like with krill. So like, hey, let's plug the easy community pellets. Feed easy community pellets. I got krill in them. If you only feed something with high krill in it, the problem you can run into is your whites will start looking pink, and you wouldn't want that necessarily. Now, you might not care in your pond, but if you were showing in a competition, too much color enhancing red leads to the white being pink, and you get docked points for that. But the point I was trying to say is these fish are going to dramatically change, and I'll show you that with goldfish. But they will change quite a bit. The patterns can change, the colors can change, the intensity can change. And when you're growing them, a professional koi breeder in a mud pond by a pro might hit 14 to 16 inches in the first 2 seasons, where at home for you, you're going to be lucky to hit 8 inches, 10 inches maybe. And so at home, we normally max out at like 18 to 22 inch fish. And that's pretty big fish, honestly. But unless you're doing massive water changes and you're feeding a lot, and the pros are so good that when you buy expensive koi, you might spend $40,000 to $100,000. You buy the koi and then you leave it in the mud ponds in Japan. You pay them maybe 8 to 10 grand every year. Keep growing it for me, because they're so good at growing that they can get that to be a size that has a potential of a show winner. And usually it's really difficult to pull off here at home for us, because we're not set up to do it. And we don't have everything optimized with professionals watching it and feeding and water changing and having mud bases and all of that. So just know that what you buy today, people will spend hours picking them out. And it's like, really, it's not going to be anything like, it's not that it won't be anything like. It will, but it can change a lot. So the bigger the fish is when you buy it, the more likely the colors and the patterns will stay as what it looks like. So if it looks cruddy at 14 inches, it's probably still going to look cruddy down the road. If it looks great at 3 inches, there's a chance, like a 10% chance, it'll look that amazing at 2 feet. And then there's a much bigger chance, like it's a good looking fish, but not nearly as good as it looked when it was young. And so most fish look worse as they get old. Very few fish get better. Well, that's not true. From a buyer at a pet store. Now, if you get breeders or people who are showing, they will buy fish like, why would anyone buy that? And they're looking at the scales, like that color's going to come up through the scales. This thing's going to look amazing later. And so there's obviously, you don't want too fractured of color, but there's a science, or there's a technique to picking out koi early that kind of look bad and they'll look better later. Something that usually looks really good at the beginning, there doesn't always mean it's going to look good later. Some of them, like the solid color ones, that's why people like them. They pretty much just keep looking solid color. So let's see here. We're gonna chime in on some goldfish and stuff to kind of round it out a little bit. We're gonna talk about Shubunkins. Now, Shubunkins, they kind of look like koi. Remember that one picture where I was like, look at these butterfly koi, and then I was like, they look like Shubunkins. Let's do that comparison. Let me find that picture where they looked pretty much the same. This is good presentation here, right here. So you see these fish. These are koi. They also have barbels on them. What does that mean, Corey? Like you see in this picture, you can see, yeah, you can see that's a barbel. You can see this is a barbel here. But this fish looks real similar to me to these fish. Like, yeah, these ones are a little more like white dominant, but you could find a batch that look the same. These are also long fin, right? They have long fins on Shubunkins. Now, why would you want a Shubunkin? One, they're pretty, usually cheaper, a few dollars cheaper. Two, they don't get as big. So a beautiful big Shubunkin might be 12 inches, 14 inches. And so they make way more sense for most people's ponds because depending on who you ask, people would say koi need 500 gallons, 1,000 gallons, 5,000 gallons each koi. Now that depends. Are you growing a world champion? Are you just keeping it in your backyard? The average pond at home is somewhere between 2 and 1,000 gallons, so 200 to 1,000 gallons. Really, we're not going to grow these giant koi, and water can be expensive, so we're not going to change enough water. And so Shubunkins, you start getting like, oh, well, I can start getting a lot of cool patterns out of these that don't get nearly as big. And these also make sense for aquariums. You guys have seen them. I've kept them in my tanks to eat duckweed and do stuff. I love Shubunkins. I'm hoping that not soon, but hopefully this year maybe I can strong arm some people to ship me some Bristol Shubunkins, which just have crazier tails, crazier finnage. But yeah, you can see here's some different color patterns, and there's quite a few people that work with Shubunkins as well. That basically, if you can't afford is not the right word. If your property doesn't allow you to have giant ponds, you can play with Shubunkins and work with genetics and have really good looking, nice. That's a good looking goldfish. I mean, you just think about it, like this is a goldfish. That looks amazing, I think. And then this same thing. There's another one, but it's dominant black. So maybe like, oh, is this a Showa Shubunkin? Like, well, it's not a koi. So, here's a Bristol. Start getting that double lobe on the tail. Yeah, start getting crazy. So yeah, Shubunkins, great option if you've got like that 300 gallon to 500. Well, yeah, 300 gallons to 1,000. Also indoors, I will keep them in 75 gallons or 55. So I'm really feeling like doing a lot of water changes. Next up, you've got the Sarasa Comet. The Sarasa Comet's like this neon day glow orange and white typically. So you see kind of like, you might be like, that's kind of like a Kohaku. Yeah, it kind of is like a Kohaku, red and white or orange and white. Sometimes it can be a light orange. That's usually not what you're looking for. That's like, yeah, that one didn't turn out so well. And then you can find big ones that really kept. I think this photo's enhanced. That's not really a fair statement on that. Let me find somewhere. These guys might not be enhanced. Like they're starting to get like looks more like that koi than it does. Like here's a pretty good red, I think. Pretty good red, even red. That doesn't look too enhanced. And that's a nice red versus the orange. I like red more than the orange, but I end up keeping all of them. That's the good news. Because they say smaller, you can end up mixing them. All of these Shubunkins and Sarasa Comets and normal goldfish can mix. People sometimes act weird about mixing them with koi. Lots of people do it. Lots of people have success. So, that's up to you. Yeah, here's Sarasa's, Shubunkins, and yellow comets. So again, this is starting to look a lot like koi, but cheaper, right? Like, isn't that like a Yamabuki or a yellow koi? Like, kind of. Aren't these like Showa or Sanke? It's like, yeah, kind of. And those are kind of like Kohakus. Like, wow. And then you can start, like, every once in a while, you'll be like, wait, is that a Toncho? A Toncho version of a Shubunkin? Every once in a while you see that. Then we look at common goldfish. Like, well, what's common goldfish, Corey? This photo right here, these are all common goldfish. And you're going to go, well, that one's white. That one's red almost. These are orange or light orange. And then you've got browns or olives. The thing I want to talk about here when it comes to goldfish is pretty much all goldfish start as brown or black. And then they bring on color. And so it's not uncommon to maybe buy a fish that's like an olive, green / bronze color or black. And then by the time it's an adult, it ends up being all orange or all white or in between. Like they the color changes so much when you're buying just random goldfish like this. It's just, you don't know that they can radically change. So you might spend the time like, I want that one. He's like greenish gold. I want gold. I want yellow. I want red. I want this. And then you grow them all out and they literally might look all the same. They might be like, oh, look, they're just these. And I say just, like you picked them out, they look different, and then they look the same. But then also, like, it could grow out this, like, oh, it had a stripe. These are all normal things. And so when you're picking out small fish, just realize, like, here's another great example. Like, that's just a real white fish, real white goldfish right there. There's a real, and you can start seeing those shoulders, right? You see that, and you see that hump, the shoulders of the fish. Like, that's how you know you start aging out. If you're dorking out on goldfish and koi, you can start kind of seeing pictures and go, oh, I wonder how big that guy is. And by seeing those shoulders, you can really start going, oh wow, that's a big fish. We won't go into fancies because that's kind of a whole different category. We're focusing on kind of koi, and yeah, here's a bunch of different. Oh, these are all the Waken, which there's a lot more goldfish. We're trying not to focus on all of them because you'll never get it. But yeah, I can answer any koi questions or what characteristics make an expensive koi. Whatever people are willing to pay. That's literally the game of it. Normally, the ones that go for the most money are Kohakus and like Showas and Sankes because they're the traditional OG original 3. Everything outside of that can go for big money too, but there's hundreds of types, and really it's a big competition of what looks good. Yes, there's body standards and competition stuff, but what drives the market is what looks good. And so that's a very important part of this, the whole pond keeping thing is what just looks good, and do you buy that? So let's see. I heard Chagoi were the generation 0 of koi breeding, and they're just outgoing because they aren't thoroughbred. Yeah, I think that's where they started, but now people that make Chagoi breed them for being even more outgoing and getting bigger size. So once they kind of became their own, I think people leaned into it. So, but there's a lot of stories. Some of these fish go back a long time, and yeah, I would say buy what you enjoy. 200 gallons for each koi if you want big ones. Yeah, everyone's gonna have a different opinion on that. There's depth of pond makes a big difference if you're trying to grow fish, and flow makes a big difference on how you're trying to grow muscle or burn fat. There's a lot that goes into getting getting body composition right if you're really working on it, which I don't. I just try to enjoy my fish. So, Jennifer says, thank you for the 5% discount at Empirical Tropicals. That's right. Aquarium Coop saves you 5% at Imperial Tropicals. Nice. Danny's Aquariums. Yes, he's in Florida. He's in the U.S. I don't know much about koi or goldfish. What are the timeless lines that never go out of style? Yeah, so the OG. That's going to be the Kohaku, the red and white, the Showa, the Sanke, which are the red, white, and blacks. Timeless. They'll never go bad. Toncho, highly respected, never going to go bad. And then everything else is lesser. Like when you go to the shows, and so how do you know this, Corey? Like when you go to a show, you might go, okay, how many entrants for, let's say, 12 to 16 inch? Well, they do it by seasons or size. Anyway, in this category of Kohaku, how many inches? Oh, 43? And then you go to like Asagi's. How many? 2, huh? 2. And if you walked in and you don't know anything about koi, you're going to be like, all of these are the coolest fish I've ever seen. This is awesome. And the people that are competing like, that one though, and this one though, and this one though, and this one. And all the fish you see, even though you think they're the coolest thing ever, they all have faults. Perfect fish go for millions of dollars. And so it's rare. You have to go to Japan to see those auctions that they're going for millions. And even then, they're, what's in fashion. Because sometimes like bigger body and smaller body and different reds. And over the years, things get too common. And then it's rarer. Like 2-step, 3-step, and that's how many blotches of red, like on a Kohaku. All of those things, all of those things play into what's going to be popular. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to, is that a good looking fish for all of us consumers? So back in the day, Toncho used to be cold. I could believe that. Yeah. And then it, like everything, hey, we can make money on this. Like, let's start building that out. Short-bodied fish, like, right? Balloon fish, as in balloon mollies and all that kind of stuff, were culls until someone's like, that's kind of cool. And then now they're a thing. That's how, like, everything pretty much works when it comes to fish. So, yeah, how's the poll going? Okay, 66% of people have not tried Easy Community Pellet. That is insane to me. I use the Easy Community Pellets like 5-to-1 on the Magic Small Fish feed. Like, I feed both every day, but like I was literally feeding half-inch fry the pellets because I've got some African cichlids. But I also feed the adults, so they literally... Anyway, highly recommend trying the community pellet if you haven't yet. I absolutely love it. And yeah, so I was interested to see, because lots of people have tried the Magic Small Fish feed, and I get it's real unique, but like my secret weapon, I'm doing the Goldfish grow out competition, which, if you remember, you got kind of an early warning on that. And if you're not a member, I think you heard about it in a live stream the following couple days later. And now we've got our fish. We've got our babies, which I'll probably record and show you guys. But yeah, they're going all Easy Community Pellet and duckweed. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Bloodline dictates price, keeping it in those Japanese mud ponds. Yes, bloodline lineage does play definitely a part, no doubt. Yeah, I honestly, I don't even participate. Like, I had invites to go to the auctions in the world, in the championships and things like that, and I just never went. I'm not really into that. And I was, if you go to the koi clubs, you'll be sitting next to people like, whoa, you just bought a $30,000 koi, you bought an $80,000, how much did you spend? And they literally they fly to go visit their fish because they've never been to the States yet. And they might have had it for 8 years or something. And it's like, this is a world that's not me. I want to buy fish, and I'd go buy things I thought were cool. The most expensive koi I have ever bought, I think, was like, I can't remember if it was $300 or $500. And I enjoy them. And I've won some awards at koi shows, like nothing major, but I've won some awards. And first and foremost, I do it so that I keep them and I enjoy them and the people around me enjoy them. And then it's fun to go out and just see other stuff and bid and just go like, oh, I'd pay $20 for that. I'd pay $50 for this. What's funny, you wouldn't know this until you go to a show, but a lot of times the bigger fish go cheaper in an auction. Like, what? So you'll get some of these fish that are like this big, and you're like, that just went for $50? That fish went for $2,000. Again, lineage and how good's it look and all of that play a big part. Yeah, so for me, you can get in there and you can just be like, well, I'd buy that for $30. And it's pretty fun if you get a chance to go to some of these auctions and things. So, yeah. Koi breeders will also breed up thousands of fish, and only a few will bring in top dollar. Part of what makes them expensive is how many fish you have to get a perfect koi. Yeah, yes, that is very much so. So what you're going to see in a pet store is fish they've identified early that won't look good, won't look the best later in life. Now, I've seen it. I own a store, and I'll have hardcore koi people come in, and they'll pick out fish, and they'll win awards with them. They're not taking home first prize grand champion, but going, ooh, that's actually a nice this. That's actually a nice that. And then they'll start winning some awards. And some people in the koi world, your goal is to grow up fish, win awards, then sell them to other people that want to own award-winning fish. That's a thing. And yeah, so it's all odds, right? Like, odds are this fish won't be amazing at full grown. Why spend the time and the resources to raise it all the way up when we can sell it right now for $10. We'll do that. This one, odds are a lot better it's going to be a winner long term. So, all right. Yeah. What else we got going on today? Anyone got other questions outside of pawn stuff? The store's opening. Right now, you get sneak peeks. You can kind of go in and maybe you get to shop a little bit. But yeah, the grand opening is the 3rd. We'll have, I think, in-store a couple deals or things going on. We're got to settle and make sure I got the right inventory and that kind of stuff. So we haven't announced that yet, but if you're coming, yeah, it might be a little bit you can spend some money on. And yeah, what else is going on? My store gets what I call the common or less desirable. I can get small koi at 1 to 2 inches for $3.99 to $4.99. I love them all. Great personality and character regardless of the pattern. Yeah, I typically buy like 3 to 4 inch fish. So that's like kind of the next sizes up from those. And they're usually, I don't know, somewhere between $7.99 and $19.99 depending on, are they butterfly? Are they normal? Are they Ogon? Are they Ginrin or diamond scale? You got what I'm excited for is the store. One of the reasons we made the video, because we need to educate the employees some more. We haven't sold koi in probably 4 or 5 years. I mean, we sold koi, but not like I used to, where I rolled out totes and I did all the stuff and kind of put my knowledge to work. Now we've got is it 12? I think we have 12 ponds inside to sell pond fish throughout the year. So yeah, that's going to be good. I'm excited to have that back. Yeah, hopefully, tomorrow, we've had a container that, yes, we paid a higher tariff. We've had a container that was supposed to arrive last Monday, and then it was supposed to arrive this Monday, and then the truck broke down, so it didn't get delivered. So, in theory, it's supposed to be here tomorrow. So unless we get a double truck failure back to back, we should have some things like bulk magic small fish feed, bulk community pellet, and by bulk I mean 1 pound containers, and then we'll also have the 100 count easy shrimp and snail in stock. So, what's my general rule for Shubunkins? How many gallons? For me personally, 30 gallons. 30 gallons per Shubunkin. And that makes it so I don't have to be a slave to the water changes. And so normally the bigger you go, so for goldfish in general, for me, the way I would sell them and that I keep them is 1 per 30 gallons. And then every 10 gallons you add on that, you can add a goldfish if you want to be a slave to water changes. If you don't want to be a slave to water changes, then maybe you go like, well, maybe I keep 2 in a 40 breeder or 2 in a 55. In general, I don't like keeping 2 fish ever because you get breeding behavior and dominating behavior. So I recommend all fish pretty much 1 or 3 or more. And so I'm likely to keep 3 in a 40 or 3 in a 55 or 3 in a 75. You might be able to go, oh, maybe I'm going 4. I'm feeling froggy, doing a lot of water changes in a 75. 125 or 150, I might do 6 or 7 fish. But the problem is when you buy them, you're going to be like, they're this big. This looks dumb. But you're not thinking ahead 3 or 4 years where you're like, oh, they're this big. This looks dumb because I don't have enough space. So it'll fool you if you're not careful. Let's see. Do I have any tips for recreating koi patterns in live bearers? I don't. You got to work with them, and I think you got to wait for it to kind of come out, and then you select for that trade. I don't think there's like, Uber Eats dial up a pattern type of deal. The gripe we have in England is that we get charged 250 pounds for a bag of sake, which is $60 in Japan. Yeah, but it's also real expensive here too. Well, it depends on what size of bag, but like koi foods are expensive. Like I have purchased koi foods for my koi in the hundreds of dollars. Because I like to test everything. Would I do that again? No, I wouldn't. So for what I'm doing, my fish won awards when they were not eating bags of food that were hundreds of dollars. And these are like dog food size bags. They're not like just small bags of food, but they're big dog, 50-pound bags or something. Did I see enough of a lift? The answer is no. Do I try to buy with my wallet? Yeah, I try to find where, honestly, we're looking right now, like what food are we going to bring in? It's real weird with tariffs because a lot of foods come from China. And so I don't know what we're going to bring in, but yeah. Expensive koi food equal cleaner feeding and less maintenance? Uh, Sometimes. Mostly it's coloration. So, like Haifang, pretty cheap koi food, feeds, in my opinion, very clean, but it's not high protein. Whereas some of the highest end koi foods, like you want to bring out yellows in a yamabuki, you have to have daffodil. Is it? Yeah, it's daffodil, right? No, is it? My brain is. I don't. Let's see. Koi food. Is it daffodil? I feel like it's there. There's something, and I don't think it's daffodil though. It's something. What is the yellow color enhancer? It's a flower. I don't think it's daffodils though, but someone will know and be like, oh yeah, it's that. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you start getting into that level where you're like, oh, I'm buying a yellow color enhancer koi food. Reds are pretty easy, but you can spend absurd amounts of money. And yes, it should feed clean and all of that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. And then you can get foods that feed clean even when they're cheaper. You can also get foods that are really messy. And marigold, yes, Tori got it. Marigold, yes, saffron and dandelion, but no, it's marigold. That's what I want to see, not daffodil, marigold. That's what it was. You can get koi foods with marigold in it. They tend to be pretty expensive. Leo says, 2 more months for the Yeti. What would you say is the most prolific live bear breeder? Want to establish a colony for my hairy puffer tank. I believe, for me, the thing that always outpopulates me, and it's more than I can sell, I turn my back and there's 80 more. It's always been Endler's live bear. You pick any flavor you want. Endler's making more. Yeah. How did the koi tank in China work? Did they have insane filtration? Which koi tank? I've seen so many things. But yes, in general, China has crazy filtration, like walls of filtration. So, yeah, in general, they're not messing around when it comes to filtration. How many spotted Congo puffers can you keep in a 75? How many do you need to keep in a 75? I would really think, do I need more than one? For me, I probably don't. You could spend $1,000 and be like, hey, I got 5 of these things. And then, for me personally, unless you're really going to try breeding them, which they're real labor intensive to raise up, I would not keep that many. So that's just me. I would diversify, and I find fun in community tanks. So, did you hear correctly that the co-op will start selling fish shipping bags? I don't know why I put like a weird fish shipping bags. I'm going to buy some, but I'm willing to wait. We are still in testing mode, so we are months and months and months away. You may as well buy more right now. But yes, we are testing. I hope to supply stores and you guys with shipping bags, just like we do rubber bands. But we are not at a point, like right now, I ran a test run of 1,000 of these bags, and we're documenting how many issues we had. At first, we thought, oh, this is bad. And we had like 4 blowouts in 20. But then we went like 400 more bags and didn't have any blowouts. And it's like, oh, well, okay. Well, that's why big data samples really matter. Because literally in the first 20 minutes, we're like, well, the employees are like, yeah, we don't want to use these. And I'm like, well, I need you to use all 1,000 and document what doesn't work. Because I need to know how many errors out of 1,000. And before I order, a half a container full of this. I got to get reps in. So, yeah. But doing much better. It was great meeting you and Dorkula at April's. Thanks for taking the time. Nice. Yeah. Katie had a great time. I mean, Dorkula. My wife had a good time. I had a good time. And I believe, well, I don't know that to be true, but I believe Dorkula will be at the store for the grand opening. I would assume. I don't know. I assume so. Let's see. I have 2 tanks running easy flow sponge filters, and I want to add 1 air stone per tank. What size air pump would be ideal to run the easy flow plus 2 air stones? For me, I would just buy a 2 outlet air pump for each one. It could be ours. It could be a Tetra Whisper pump. It could be an Aquatop pump. I gotta be honest. Outside of the battery mechanism, there's not that much difference in a lot of those air pumps. That slight sound differences, maybe. Pricing, there's definitely different pricing. Support matters, you know. Yeah, I would just point and shoot on that. There's not. If you get a bunch more, then a linear air piston pump really does make a big difference. But you wouldn't do that for just 4 tanks. Yeah. Any updates on the co-op net? I'm sad the old ones are discontinued. We have some samples. We're working on getting a new sample. The new samples, the problem with the samples we have right now, I'm like, how is this different than any other net? And the answer is, it's kind of not. And so we found some other nets. I'm like, let's try those. I like that. Let's see if that's different enough. Because I do try hard not to just be like, yeah, everybody just does that. Like, that's just another thing. Because then you just end up with a line of products that is literally the exact same. There's some you can't fix, like an airline connector. Like, it's so basic, what more can you do, right? But when it comes to a net, like, well, there should be things we can do with net. We can look at how coarse is it, what material is it made of, how strong is it, how long is the handle, how does the handle feel, how fast does it go through water, how does it handle getting snagged, how often do bristle nose and auto sinkless get caught in that type of net. So there are things you can work on. But yeah, I really like my Aquatop air pumps. Yeah, we used to sell them a lot. They could just never keep us in supply. That's why we ended up doing our own. But we have sold many an Aquatop air pump. I like them. I do. Let's see. Have I attempted pickleball yet? I feel like you and Dean could be the face of pickleball. I love pickleball. In high school, which I was still overweight in high school, just FYI, I specifically was a teacher's assistant for gym so I could play as many racket sports as a human can. Because the pickleball back then, there wasn't a bunch of pickleball courts and everything. Like, it was just a gym sport. And I dominated at pickleball in high school. So being the TA, if someone was absent, because we'd play teams and tournaments, right? And if someone was absent, I got to play being the teacher's assistant. And so it was fun to take people that weren't very good and then, like, we just got 4 wins today. Like, how's that going? So yes, love pickleball. I love tennis. I love badminton. I love volleyball. Like, there's a lot of sports that I like. But yeah, so I've taken different employees to go play pickleball. Randy and I think Randy might even have a membership to a pickleball place right now. Yes, pickleball, very fun. Highly recommend. Great in twos. If you one of the reasons pickleball is so getting so much steam is if you had any mobility issues or anything like that, or you're just getting older, you play twos and you're not chasing down a 100-mile-an-hour ball like in tennis, right? You can play forward and backwards or left and right, and you can actually apply your skill and not just get beat straight out of a speed thing. So What community fish would be good with spotted Congo puffers? African banded barbs? Uh, yeah, I tend to go with more passive fish, lots of tetras, maybe live bearers. I don't want anything that's going to beat on it, or like loaches, for instance, they'll eat a lot of the same food, and I don't want to put too much competition over the things that would want the shelled foods. How do you clean the melamine sponges? Am I crazy and just need to treat them as disposables? Yeah, they're mostly disposable. Like you can rinse them and stuff, but they definitely break down. And I mean, I don't know what you're cleaning, but sometimes a dirty job is like, I don't want to spend the time cleaning that one. Why don't I keep Bucephalandra? I used to, like in the old fishing, you'd see lots of it, but I kind of went through that phase, and I'm just like, yeah, every day is a new purple melon skeletron Buse 2946 that no one can identify, and how's that different than Transformer Bucephalandra purple green navy blue? Like, it just kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong, any plant's cool, and I go, yeah, it's cool, that looks cool, but there's just so many that to me, this is my, it's just all Anubias Nana Petite, basically. Like, yes, slightly different colors, slightly different things. It's fine, it's cool, and I've used it, and I will use it in the future. But I don't go to the premium of like, oh man, I should spend big bucks. And then also, I try not to buy plants that are taken out of the wild. And Corey, you will buy a wild-caught fish. Why would we do that? Unfortunately, there's quite an underbelly of aquatic plants that people just collect out of the wild, and there's no one really regulating it, and Bucephalandras tend to be one of those. Same with Bulbitis, African fern, a lot of the African plants as well. So we try to only buy, or I try to only buy, and we as a company only buy sustainably grown plants. Now, if there was a big enough thing and I could verify it, and there was like sustainably harvesting and that kind of stuff, it makes some sense. Like manzanita wood, for instance. If you don't harvest some, California just burns to the ground. So like that's kind of helping in that manner, for instance. Yeah, and wild-caught fish, there's definitely more regulations around it and more like Project Piabas and things like that are helping kind of control a little bit of it. Now, it's still not great, but the other thing is, with like a wild-caught fish, not always can you get a non-wild-caught version. Like maybe no one's ever bred that. With plants, almost 100%, you can take a plant and just make more plant, and then you have the option to buy plant that isn't done that isn't just wild. Yeah, Steven says, oh, you want Transformer Skeleton? I'll hook you up. They get the craziest names. Like I've been around long enough to see like Bucephalandra basically come onto the market, and everybody put a spin on it, and it just, I don't know. I like them. I just don't. I don't have the fanfare everybody else does. I never understood like why are you paying $80 for this? So to be fair, I don't have the same fanfare for Anubias Nana Petite, Pinto, and Marble, and Stardust. I've tried them, and I'm like, these are just kind of worse versions of the normal plant. They look kind of cool. They also kind of look like they're sick. And in general, I just like easy. If it's easy, I'm into it. Buse fails the grandma test. My man, Matt, you are 100% right. It does fail the grandma test. Yeah. They just, it's the same. It's the same. Look at that little plant. When's the next Dean video? Next couple weeks. We filmed a whole, like, it's probably like an hour long. It's going to be a long boy. Yeah. Rough day in the fish room. My heavily planted tank cracked in the bottom. Oof. Lost everything but a few fish. Plants may turn around. That's a hard day. Been there, done that. When will there be another Aquarium Expo in California? That I don't know. That I do not know. I suspect when tariffs go away. Like every company right now, if you're doing anything, you're like, you want to come do a thing that costs a lot of money? Nope. I got this thing called tariffs to pay with merchandise stuck. I'm trying to get that. Has Dean bred the honey blue eyes? That I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head on that one. Whatever happened to Nubius gold coin? Still there. Yeah. Still available. Thanks for purchasing sustainable plants. Well, we try. Yeah. Like, we would sell a ton of that plant right there, the bulbitis. I just can't find a source that can make it, or that will make it, instead of just harvesting it. We do every once in a while, and we buy it up and then run out. And we haven't done that in a few years now, but I can't try out aquarium co-op products. I'm in Newfoundland. We're slacking. Yep. Still 67%. I'm gonna run this poll every week until we get above 50%. I need everybody's help to spread the word on the community pellet. I'm telling you, I realize that people are like, oh, but the Magic Small Fish Feed, it's the dope one. I'm telling you, I honestly believe if you try the community pellet in more ways, you start going, this is actually, that's kind of amazing. Like using it to spawn corridors, I run into people that are like, oh, they won't eat that, it's floating. Like, it'll sink, and they love it. And then, like I'm using it on goldfish. I use it on everything. Like 90% of my fish are eating it. And it's my go-to. And so I'll be excited to see when everyone is like, you know what? It kind of is just a go-to. Like, it's just solid. So. Is gold coin still there? I haven't seen it in a while. No, we're not selling gold coin. We don't sell that many Anubias because mostly there's some rot problems and sourcing is a nightmare. We could sell 1,000 of each Anubias a week, and instead it's like, here's 13 or 42 this week. And so we kind of just honed it down to like, we sell a few in tissue cultures, but because of the way we run the warehouse, you end up having all these tanks dedicated. Like, well, I ordered 1,000 of these, and then the day before shipping, you're like, oh, they're not shipping them. Okay, well, now we're going to have a lot of empty spaces. And after you do that week after week after week after week, you just go, you know what? Let's not even do that. Hey, Casey, donate and 5 memberships. Thank you. I saw you did it earlier while I was talking about koi, and I just didn't call it out during that part. But thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure the people that won those memberships do as well. What do I think the top 5 most popular corridors are right now? Asking for a local quarry breeder. The number 1 would be the Fireball Quarry. What would number 2 be? Maybe Equus, but they're hard to breed. 3 might be... it's probably... The next 3 are probably like Panda, Sturby, and then it goes probably between like Adolphoi and like Orange Lasers. Yeah. We brought some cool Petricola catfish in. We imported them. I don't know how they look. They came in Monday. I haven't seen them myself yet. But we brought in pink dwarf Petricola catfish. So I'm excited to unveil. Well, we might unveil them a little bit sooner, but they should be ready, if everything goes right, for you to sell them. For you to buy them when the store opens. As in, expansion opens. Sorry, I'm trying to read like various labor and never heard of Fireball Quarry while maintaining a sentence, and it is not going well. That's how I know when my brain is like, okay, you're hitting the limit, buddy. You cannot read sentences and talk without sounding like a dummy. Let's see here. Yeah. And my brain just only wants to talk about tariffs because that's all I talk about all day, and so it keeps surfacing. The TLDR for everybody is like, just buy what you need. It's only going to go up in price until it doesn't have to, which I still hope every day, like, oh, good, we can get our container. But we're going to run out of stuff. We're so, if people don't panic buy, which I'm kind of encouraging that right now, we're probably good till like September on most items, but there will be select things like, ooh, we did not forecast that right. Oops. And there's no correcting. Some of the things, when we're buying, each container comes in with like, we consolidate the containers. So we try to get like, let's get like 3 months of everything we need on these next 2 or 3 containers, and not so much just it's all this. Now, that being said, we do have a sponge filter container that we were lucky to get on the water, and I think that arrives in the next month or so. So we should have the black sponge filter or the easy flows, but the replacement sponges that we wanted to launch are on a container still stuck in China, so that's a no-go for now. Like, nope. Yeah. I keep meaning to place a huge co-op order, but I haven't yet. If you place a big enough order, even I see it, because I kind of sort through and look through like, whoa, is that a store? That's not a store, that's a person? That's crazy. Do we ship overseas? Nope, we do not. We do not. Yeah. Would it be a good idea to stock up on fish food now before prices go up? Yes. Yes. What we're seeing from our vendors, everybody is pretty much saying the same thing. Well, 2 things. There's two statements coming out right now. There is, when we sell this inventory, the price has to go up, or the price is going up today. Those are the 2 things coming. So, buying stuff, storing in a freezer, that makes some sense. I will let you know, though, we're supposed to have a container like here tomorrow, and you can, if you're going to stock up on foods, you might want to buy like the 1 pound version of them. You save a little bit of cheddar. So, not massive amounts, but a little bit of cheddar. It was supposed to, save a little more, but, tariffs did that thing. So, I visited the store this past weekend, and everyone was very friendly, and the bathroom was very clean. I wanted to pick up a Murphy sticker, but it was out of stock. Yeah, the new expansion, I actually need to order some more of those. Like, we're hoping to have all the stickers for sale in a rack. We only have the 1 test rack right now, but it's been busy. I'll be working there this week and next week to add. So even if you've seen the store, like, we're still doing more. Like, we're not even done. In fact, we're having meetings this week to start making the original side better. Like, we're gonna hopefully get that portion put in before you guys even come in on the grand reopening, so you get to see that also. So we're pushing forward on a lot of stuff. When will the 1 pounder be available? Tomorrow? Maybe. We could go for broken truck number 2 in a row, or someone just making a scheduling mistake like has happened twice so far. So could totally be tomorrow, and it could also not be tomorrow. So, if you're into that 1 pound, there you go. If you're not, may as well buy right now. Can rainbow cichlids eat community pellets? Oh, yes. They will love it. Yep. Feeding quite a few cichlids the pellet. The thing I think, it's gonna take me 5 years to train people. Fish want smaller foods. The average public goes, big fish, big food, and they don't want big food. Like a big Oscar, they want a tiny pellet. When you see food coming out of their gills or fish spitting it out, the pellets are too big. It's also going to be a sign of parasites too, which there is that. But too many people feeding too big of stuff. And as they kind of learn, like, oh, wait, more hang time's better, smaller pellets better. The goal for me is always high quality, having to feed less, having to clean less. All works together, especially in a store or something like that. Are the community pellets slightly larger than Extreme Nano? Yes. I wouldn't say slightly. I'd have to get like the I want to call it a micrometer. It's not. Is it a micrometer? No, no, that's not a micrometer. It's a what's that thing called? Brain shutting down. I still have work to do. I got to do today too. It's dangerous. What? It's probably sitting right here. Why can I not remember the name of it? Doesn't it doesn't even say. What do you call this thing? My brain doesn't work. Caliper. Yeah, no one said it. I remembered it. But yeah, we use calipers, and I want to say it's like in between, basically. It's in between like a normal small pellet for a company and like a nano type pellet. It's like in between, and the reason why it's in between is like you need it to be a little bit bigger to have enough air to float, basically. Let's see. Extreme is a little larger than the small fish feed. Yes, Extreme Nano is a little bit larger than the small fish feed. Yes, but the community pellet is larger than the Nano. I know it's getting confusing. I'll say this. Everything in my fish room, outside of testing a few foods, has basically just been eating magic small fish feed and community pellet. That includes the fish I'm breeding, the eggs that are raising up, everything. Everything. We're talking baby rainbows. We're talking barbs. We're talking. There's a guy locally raising discus on it. No live brine shrimp. Just using magic small fish feed. Like it is. It's allowing me to spend time in other ways. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Do white cloud mountain minnows breed similar to how zebra danios do it every single morning? Yeah. Yes, they do. They're about the size of a cupcake sprinkle, but not. I feel like cupcakes. Yes, the circular sprinkles. There's some that are like, what do they call the ones that are almost like Vibrabite length? I don't know. Which food would be good for rummy nose tetras? They'll eat either. When I'm feeding the store, I feed the community pellet to the rummy nose tetras. But you can put in magic small fish feed and they'll eat it. But usually most of my tanks are get both every day. Because like there's shrimp or there's babies in there. I want to get tiny foods, and then I want the adults to get the bigger pellet. And then like at the store, like we might have rummy nose tetras with bamboo shrimp, and it's a great food for filter feeding vampire shrimp, bamboo shrimp, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, basically outside of only tiny fry or only shrimp tanks, I think every tank literally gets both of it every day. Any update on the Brazilian Rams? Just looking good back there. They're a little blown out. I was showing someone else the light. I had Tyler right there. He's in the chat. I had Tyler over last week, and I had this light. I haven't turned it down yet, Tyler. So if I get algae on there, I'm blaming you, buddy. I was showing you that light. I'll turn it down tomorrow probably when I remember. Everybody should try the community pellet. The feed the fish, not the snails. Yes. So floating food in general. If you're having a problem with snails, feed floating food. You solve about 80% of your snail problem. Like there's not a lot of food left at the bottom for them besides the poop. So it can really cut down if you're having problems with snails. Yeah, you missed me last week. Did I miss last week? What did I have to do? I had to physically go somewhere. I wasn't even here. I do know that. I was like, oh man, that's a conflict. Like I have to miss it. I can't. I got to be honest, guys. I keep doing this. Been too many years that have been stringing together like this, but like it's been insane. I can't even remember what's going on. But I don't know what happened last Tuesday. But I don't even think I was here. I can't remember what I was doing though either. So. Do I skip a day for feedings? I don't. I used to. I don't anymore. Now that I have like the magic small fish feed, I'm getting so many more babies just popping up in tanks. and I don't think it's okay to skip super small fry. So I just feed every day. Now, Corey, you've never missed a day? No, I do. Like I missed Saturday. I didn't feed Saturday because by the time I left it 8 o'clock in the morning and I got home, lights were out. It's like 8 p.m. and I was like, well, I'll just feed tomorrow morning, and I did. So I will miss out of like, oh, I just couldn't make it happen today. But I don't go out of my way anymore. I used to take days off, like in African cichlid tanks and stuff, where I don't have tons of babies. It totally made sense. Let them clean up because African cichlids will eat algae, they'll eat duckweed, they're like almost clean for you. Same with goldfish. But when it comes to community fish, on average, I just feed them every day. Oh, I was working at the store. That's right. I was working at the store. What was I doing? I was, installing stuff. Yeah, I was at the store. Yeah. I was doing dumb corporate stuff. No, not that day. That day I was just in the grind in the store doing stuff. Larger tetras like the diamond tetras like the floating community pellets, and the smaller tetras and rasboras like the magic small fish feed, but I've observed they both eat it. Yeah, I think it depends on how small the rasboras and tetras are. But if you just feed it to them and they don't have to compete with like bigger tetras, they will just love it and they will hunt it down. You got to train them a little bit because they're not used to it. You know, the reality is there's not that many small pellets like we have. They're either too big or they're really small, like a Extreme Nano or a Magic Small Fish Feed. So a lot of the fish that are that smaller Tetra, Rasbora, Danio size has never seen that food mode before. And so it takes them a while to like, oh, wait, this is a better delivery method. I'm going to keep doing that. I've been asked to speak at a local club. I'm not a public speaker. Any tips for how to structure a talk to keep people interested? Yeah, so my opinion is lots of good pictures. What's a good picture? Don't just grab pictures online. Try to take pictures of your aquariums, your fish, your setups. I don't know what your topic is. And my biggest pet peeve is I want minimal text on a slide. I want pictures. I want you to tell me the story. Because if you put a bunch of bullet points, I will read through it. And then I will sit there and wait for you to catch up with me. And that's not a great presentation. Instead, I want you to show me a picture. And then I want to go, ooh, I want to learn about that. Talk about that now. And then I'm totally engaged. So that's what I try to do. A lot of my presentations will be just pictures and a title of the slide. So I go, oh yeah, now we're talking about this. Okay, now we're talking about this. And I practice enough that hopefully I won't forget. And it allows my talks to change every time. So if I give a talk today and then in 3 years I give it, I have new information. I've learned things. So that's just the way I like to do it. And that's my tip is don't bog it down with everybody being able to read ahead of you and be bored. Instead, be on the fly and you can change it. You can kind of go with the vibe of the crowd. They want more personal stories, you give them more personal stories. They want more technical, you give them more technical. And that you'll learn that based on the questions they're asking. Let's see here. I think the freeze-dried brine shrimp need more love and attention. My fish adore those cubes. Yeah, I think I prefer tube effects over the brine shrimp, but I do need to bring that back into my repertoire. In fact, I was thinking about bringing the brine shrimp in on my goldfish to grow them a little faster even. But I have a little bit different goals than you guys. I'm trying to prove that I can grow some things only with those foods where... yeah, that's not always it's not always the best. Always the best food. What I'm reading something and messing it up. It is the best food, but variety can be nice, and I want to finish testing more than I want to do the best food at the moment, like the best mix for each species, I guess. What price do you think most local fish stores want for plants? Is it still about 1/3 retail price like it is for fish? Are you saying to like pay? If it's in a pot with rock wool, yes, something like that. If it's like you just cut your tank and you bring them a bucket of stems and stuff, if you brought that to me, most times I'd be like, I don't even want it. And if you did have something I want, I would lowball you because I have to do all the work. Now, if you were to somehow, and I would just usually make grab bags out of it. If you were to somehow put it in pots and rock wool, you're going to go, hey, I got to pay 80 cents each to make these. Like, yeah, but now they can go in racks and they sell well. So you get a lot more money for that. What fish like the tube effects the best? Things with smaller mouths, which guppies and libears and a lot of the stuff I have. Whereas like bigger stuff like the rosy barbs, rainbowfish, African cichlids, goldfish, all that would like brine shrimp more. Platies, yeah, they can go either one, but yeah. All right. Yeah, Aquarius podcast. You keep distracting me with like I'm trying to optimize your work with a 3D printer while I'm live. What's funny is I should record my screen so I can show all of the people from my own company like sidetracking me between, like the retail store 4 minutes ago. What do you think about this display? My wife showing me pictures of my dog Wincy laying in the sun, and then you've got then you've got Randy doing this. I feel guppy grass is the exception since it doesn't ship well. Yeah, so guppy grass, mosses, that kind of stuff in a bucket totally makes sense. You just portion it up. Yes, but any Anubias, stems, crypts, Vallisneria is a big one. Dwarf Sage is a big one where you're like, here's a giant bucket. Do you need like, this will probably go slimy before we can even sell it all. And then you don't want to put it into a tank of like, ugh. And then also, it could be infested with algae and duckweed. You don't know it from a bucket standpoint. So, yeah, that's my advice. Randy's talking papa. That's right, Randy is talking papa. In one of your past videos, you mentioned feeding enough food for them to graze for hours. How many times a day do you do this? Realistically, once. It depends. Like if I'm in a day where I'm in the fish room, I'm working on just fish room stuff, most of the day. But if I'm in meetings all day long, it's probably like, yeah, a little bit for you, a little bit for you, a little for you, and then like, okay, a lot for all of them. And yeah. This is how I pay my employees. I get my employees to super chat me. Deep in the Mulm, great new podcast. Who's your favorite host, Corey? My favorite host. I got to think of something here. I got nothing. I will say, the best hosts are the ones that show up. Randy missed one. Something about kids, enjoying life. Yeah. The other bucket plants would do a better at a club auction. Too much work for the local. Yeah, you got me there. Too much work for the local LFS. And I've trained my brain over the years in a live stream to always expand on acronyms because people that are new to the hobby don't know what LFS would mean. It means local fish store. So I was about to say, too much work for your local fish store. And then I was going to sound really weird. I still think grab bags. What's a grab bag? Okay, so a grab bag would be take some stems and some other stuff and like make a bag in a Ziploc, write down a few of the things legibly, and then put that in your auctions at the club. Yeah. Even if you did that with Ziploc bags for the store, more likely I'm like, hey, you've done all the work? Heck yeah, I'll put a price on that and I'll sell it right on the counter and just get it going. Yeah. Definitely agree. Love the podcast. Winslow. That's right. You don't like Y Rock? Y Rock's the best guest. If you guys haven't, well, that's kind of a mean thing. If you haven't seen the podcast, you're missing out. Like that's kind of a bummer thing to do. Like not everyone can afford it, that kind of stuff. But the podcast is a great time. The main goals were to give you guys kind of peaks of our business life, and then one of the big goals was to show you that I hire my friends and we have a great working relationship, even though it's very serious and we try very hard because there's a lot of employees' lives in our hands. We get along really well, and it leads to great collaboration and lots of things we do. And so I think that presents well through the podcast in that format where we can joke around and have a good time, and maybe you see why people are around for Randy might be at 5 years. No, he's already been 5 years. Candy, how long's Candy been here? 6 years? Because I think Randy's before Candy? I don't know. I can't keep track of anything anymore. All I know is in the payroll, like I'm on year like 11 or something. I was like, whoa, that's a long time. Start seeing double digits. I've worked here. How's the expansion coming? It's coming real good. You should visit. What am I most stressed about for the expansion opening? Is everything ready? Nothing's ever always ready. What am I most stressed about? I'm not really stressed about it. I am a little like Zenzo and I were joking today. Like now, the people that complain will be like, "I liked it when the co-op was like a small store and it was nice and boutique. Too big now." Like I just know the public in aggregate. That's how they work. Like these people will be stoked, and then these people, it's like the people like, "Oh, I liked that band before anyone knew who they were. Now that people know who they are, I hate them." Like, So, but the only, I guess, fear, stress, whatever, and it's not even really a thing, is like, it'd be a bummer if you come in and you're like, "That's it, huh? Yeah, it's all right." It's like, oh, I tried pretty hard here. And like not everything panned out, and the city was a pain in the butt. But I put $500,000 into it, so I'm hoping you guys are like, "Wow, okay, that looks cool. That's nice. Yeah, you can sell a lot more stuff. I like this." And not just like, "Yeah, $500,000, you fool. Should have closed it down." Oh, okay, sorry. Let's see. I was seeing Primus at the River Theater. Nice. Randy was 6 in November. I was 6 in January. All right, there you go. Time flies. Time flies for me. I like the mom and pop feel. He's gone corporate. You guys, that I'm joking, but you guys know that I get that every day, right? Every day, someone will leave a comment. I remember when Corey didn't suck, and he didn't sell products, and he didn't do the thing, 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 and didn't do the thing. And then I usually reply, "This channel was literally started to sell crap," and then I ban them. So that way they get a notification of like, I literally started this channel to advertise. That is why I can spend hours of my day and fly around the world, make videos, do things, because we have to make money to do that. But people that join, they don't know that, and so they're just like, "Oh, this guy, look at, he's over here trying to sell crap." Like, yeah, you mean the whole basis for this entire business? Yes, that is what I'm trying to do. That is my literal job. What was it? It was, gosh, there was a video. Oh, it was like I think it was the Amazon sword video. They were like, "Look at this guy trying to sell his products. He's showing easy green and root tabs while educating about Amazon swords, and he sells those. I think he's just trying to sell us stuff." And it's like, that's literally what I'm trying to do. Educate you, and if you need to buy an Amazon sword, you should definitely buy my Amazon sword. But it's just funny how like the hate can crop up of like, to me it'd be like going to an IKEA, like, I think they're trying to sell this stuff to me. I was just going to sit around and do nothing, but I keep seeing prices. I think they are here to sell things. Oh, not today. Not today are you selling anything to me. Like, okay. I've heard through the grapevine. Oh, it's always dangerous when it comes to the grapevine. Corey doesn't really like electric blow cars. Yeah, they're terrible. And there's a little story there. I don't think there's a little story. Maybe some employee knows a story, but I think they're terrible fish. And what I mean by that is, I've kept them. You've seen in my fish room, but selling them in a store, you're just selling people that are going to be angry when they're like, that thing ate my baby tetra. Like, yeah, it's 6 inches. Well, I would have never bought it had I known it could have eaten a fish. And then I go into the diatribe of like, any fish that can fit in another fish's mouth, it will go there. And so that's what happens. Is the YouTube channel your personal channel, or is it under the company? Under the company. Like, I have my own personal YouTube channel. It used to be the business thing, and then it was other stuff. There's super duper old videos of me outside doing summer tubbing and that kind of stuff. And then the Aquarium Co-op channel was literally started to advertise my fish store. That's why it started. Because before that, the other channel was like, I'm going to try to document building a fish room. And I did kind of a terrible job at it and only had a few videos. And I remember when Rapashi food first came out, I made a video of like, look at this. Rapashi food. No one's ever seen it before. It's dope, right? Like, that was a long time ago. Thank you for coming to April's Aquarium. It was great to see you and meet your wife. My kids didn't let me stay to chat. Am I still playing EverQuest? Not currently. I will say, if things could calm down for like 11 minutes, which they can't, apparently, I am trying to talk myself into playing the latest TLP server. So, but I don't know if I will. You know, it's coming. I think it launches in May, and I'm like, I think it launches like close to the time I got to be at Dan's Fish, and I got lots of work stuff I got to do. So I don't know if I'll get to it, but I do love escaping into a little world where no one knows who I am, and I just slay orcs all day. Actually, froglocks. I love to kill froglocks. All day. Lower Guck or Seb. All day. Corey's Cinderblock Fish Room. That's on this channel. People wouldn't think it, but there's a Corey that exists before he owned a store. There's a Corey that exists before he worked at a store. And there's lots of fish rooms. Like, my wife has seen lots of stuff, and she used to help me raise. We used to breed bristlenose plecos and shrimp like in our bedroom. We had a 29 gallon and a 20 down low. We used to do lots of that kind of stuff because I was learning all about all this stuff. And then, then it kind of became like, oh, this is a real thing. Like, I gotta do all the videos, and I got the store and all that. So definitely a different evolution. The Tub Pond Handbook by Dr. Ted Coletti in the house. Check out that book. He's going to give a talk on it. You can get the book now and be well read to ask poignant questions. Did I use poignant right in a sentence? I got to Google it. Definition of poignant. Hopefully, I can't even sell poignant. Poignant? Oh, that was not how you spell that. Yes. I don't remember what I said, but it's evoking a keen sense of sadness or regret. What did I say? I can't remember the sentence I said. Hopefully I used that right. Poignant. This is a cool sounding word, but now I'm afraid I've used it incorrectly. Oh, I did use it good? All right. My brain literally moves at a different speed than my mouth. Because if you're good at what you do, it's like reading a teleprompter / processing. My whole goal always, keep conversation moving, reading next questions, because I don't enjoy other people's live streams where there's too much downtime of like, Yeah, so I try to keep it going. I ordered from Imperial Tropicals for the first time using the Aquarium Co-op code. The experience was horrible. They ate my dog. Oh, wait, no, it says the experience was great, much more adorable than... Must be affordable. I mean, maybe. Maybe you could say Mike Doherty, which, if you know what Mike Doherty looks like, it's not really what I would consider adorable. More of like a manly dude. but much more adorable than Dan's. Affordable. Yeah. They both kind of have some overnight expensive shipping, but they're different. And Imperial Tropicals, they breed a lot. They got a lot of ponds, and that obviously cuts down on the consumer cost. But then Dan, what I go to Dan for, he brings in lots of stuff from like Glacier and other stuff, and will bring in rare stuff. And so Josh points out a good thing. Dan's gone crazy and listed the clouded archers for $50. They're not just any clouded archers. The albino, well, I have to look at their eyes. They're either albino or leucistic. I thought for sure Dan was crazy when he brought those in, and it turns out he was crazy because no one bought them at like the $400. So they're leucistic. They got normal eyes. Cool fish. I am actually tempted at $50 a piece. Like I would pay $50. Unfortunately, Dan's probably taking a beating and losing money at $50 a piece. Like, oh, that's a bummer, buddy. But Dan will bring in stupid, rare, high-end stuff that most people won't bring in. And so I love it for that. But I will say, though, some things, the price is like, wow, you're like too cheap on that. And then you're like, that? I don't know, you're kind of crazy town on that. But also, if you're a super nerd on some things, like I do believe after doing some research, like, oh, I think Dan's got legit Adolphi cores, and most things that we sell are like a different duplicarius version. So he's also got these new like the slate core, the con color. He's got a rad picture that I'm in love with right there. But you know, it's definitely a market. It's a market of, you want that high-end rare fish? Here's a place you can buy it in the United States. Oh, you don't want to pay the price? Yep, don't do that. I do it from time to time. Maybe they're platinums? I guess they could be platinum. Is that what they're... Yeah, they are platinum. Do that thing called reading. Yeah, I don't do that. That's a fool. Fool's game, reading. Can't say I have an opinion on who's more adorable. It's hard. They're both pretty adorable, right? Yeah. Autocorrect gets me 30 times a day because I'm moving quick and it's like answering a question, and they'll be like, what are you trying to say? Oh, hold on. That is not what I tried to say. Still working on a few more. I need to circle back with a few more select vendors. Like I've got a shrimp person that I want to try to work something out with. I've actually got a couple shrimp people I might. And then there was another one I was thinking about. But I won't just take anybody. So they're like, oh yeah, I've used them a lot. Like, yeah. So I wait, like it's been waiting months. Like, hey, are you in a spot where this makes sense to start getting some more sales? I would love to promote you and be able to tell people, hey, I think you should buy from here on that specific thing. Because Imperial Tropicals, they specialize a little bit more, in my opinion, African cichlids, rainbows, South American cichlids. And then Dan's Fish is a little more, I don't want to call it high-end. Oddities, rarities. Also carry some basics though. So, but I do think they're distinctly different. Like the average person will go, ooh, I like one or the other better probably, and not be like, no, I just order from both of them all day long, because that'd be a lot of money. What's my favorite fish? Probably salmon. Let's see. I'm considering doing a koi pond this year. What should I not put in it? I live in WNY. Is that Western New York? Wyoming with a typo? Anyway, also wonder where I should keep them in the winter. I have a 75-gallon aquarium. Would that be okay? Only for the first year or two will a 75-gallon tank work. In that scenario, if you rewatch, I don't know if you heard from the beginning, Shubunkins and comets and things like that probably make a lot more sense long-term for what you're trying to do. Because then you can bring them in. You can keep them in a 75 through the winter. Is it possible to keep salmon? Yeah, you just got to use chillers. We have a local guy that always raises up salmon, and then like schools, he works with them, and they release them back into the population. Any open breeding projects you're working on? Any new Dean videos? Yep, Dean videos coming. Projects. I honestly need a couple of days, which I don't have, to move fish around and get some tanks prepped. I want to breed the cherry barbs, longfin, and I need to get the platinum pearl scale angels separated out so I can grow them faster, and I want to breed those. That's another project. And yeah, I've got some mollies I want to move. Working on desnailing. Yep. So but problem is I know I got to do work at the store, and I've got different things. I've got deadlines. Whenever you put deadlines, like I got to make those deadlines. I can't be like, well, today's a fish day, and then you guys show up and like, oh, you didn't finish that? No, I wanted to move fish around so I could breed them, so store's not ready. Sorry. How does salmon compare to eating discus? Depends who's cooking. Same amount of bones almost if you get the wrong person that prepared the salmon. But yeah, much prefer salmon. I do like salmon quite a bit. Let's see, nothing but koi, but that's my opinion. Oh, hold on. Well, yeah, yeah, I see what I did there. So you want to keep a koi pond, but what else could you keep with them? In general, not a lot. You could consider, if you can keep them out year-round, things like high-fin banded shark. You could do channel catfish, but I'm not sure I would do that mix. Most times, koi ponds are awesome when they're just koi ponds, honestly. When you start mixing sturgeon and other stuff, like they're not koi ponds anymore. They're just big, cold fish ponds. Would I consider the saltwater side of the hobby to be the other side of the same coin? Sure. To me, saltwater is kind of like turtles. It's just different. Yeah. It's what do I want to say it's like? I feel like the difference between freshwater and saltwater is like the difference between street racing cars, where you're like, oh, I'm trying to make them as fast as I can, and lowrider cars, where you're like, they're both cool, but they are completely opposite, and most people don't do both. Like it's like you're kind of on one side or the other. You can appreciate both sides, but definitely different. Meanwhile, they're both cars. Rice fish, you can do rice fish with koi and stuff like that, but I think a lot of them are going to get slurped up. To be fair, I haven't tried it, so I'm just thinking, when a fish fits another fish's mouth, I'm never shocked when it goes there. In fact, I expect it to go there. That being said, like Rusty Wessel had a pond with koi and swordtails and like something else, and it was all working, but the pond was also like huge, and when it's extreme cold, he had a fire pit underneath the pond that could warm it. So, doing some different stuff than the average person. I have different barbs, fancy goldfish, a couple sturgeon, crayfish in my koi ponds. Yeah. And my response to that is, sweet, not a koi pond. That is much different. Do I have any saltwater aquariums at the moment? Nope. Not a big fan of it. I don't like the way the salt feels on my skin. I don't like mixing salt either. So, done it in the past. Might do it in the future. Not doing it now, though. I've got a nano reef. I'd like to do more in the future if I had a 40... Wait, and I had a 40 breeder reef for a long time. Yeah. I like watching it. I don't really like servicing them. They cost a lot of money, and I'd rather keep 10 freshwater aquariums instead. Not even from the money, from the work standpoint. My 75-gallon that I've got running a Fluval 407, would a sponge filter be beneficial? Don't let the people that only think I sell stuff hear this, but probably not. Like, if you're going, do I have enough bacteria now? I'm sure you do. I can come up with some tan, like a little bit of benefit. If you run a pre-filter sponge, I would buy the large pre-filter sponge and I'd put it over the basket on that flue wall. It'll keep flake food and some other foods from getting sucked in. It can keep long flowy fins from getting sucked in. It will add mechanical and biological filtration. For me, what the biggest thing it does, it collects a bunch of stuff for me. I can get it with a bag, go clean it at a sink, put it back on, and I don't have to crack into that canister nearly as often. So the pre-filter saves me work. Even though it adds work initially, it means that I only have to open my canister like every 6 months or more. So I like it for that. But if you're, a normal sponge filter, I think you need it. No. Do I think you should have air? Yes, in some form. Could you do it with a sponge filter? You could. But as much as I want everybody to give me all their money all the time and buy all of our things, I only want to recommend that when I think you actually need it. And if you were to say, do I need a sponge filter to keep my fish alive from not having enough bacteria with this 407? No, you don't need that. But if you said, hey, I don't have air, I would say, ooh, I'd really try to get some air in there. Or, hey, I don't want to clean my filters often. Should I get a pre-filter? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. How's that goldfish coming along? My little babies? They're eating. They're eating all right. They're eating. Let's see. I was taught about the koi pond by guys who competitively showed koi, and they were really strict. It's your pond, so do it the way you want. Yeah. I mean, there's different levels of what you want to do, and keeping a pond outside with a mix of stuff sounds awesome, and I think it is super duper cool. If you're saying, I want to do a koi pond, I'm going to go, sweet. Are we going somewhere between 4 and 8 feet deep, straight sides, and, no plants, and like that starts becoming a koi pond. Like, we're really focused on the koi here and maximizing water clarity and things like that, where, to me, that's what a koi pond is. If you just go, oh, I want a pond in my yard with koi in it, like, oh, that's not a koi pond. That's a water feature with some koi. Different thing for me. Have I tried any of the Toonsy circulation pumps? Honestly, I haven't. I probably haven't plugged in a Toonsy pump in 10 plus years, so I don't know that I know where they stand in the line of offerings. They used to have a crazy good reputation. I don't know if they still have that crazy good reputation with Toonsy anymore. They might. I just don't know. Welcome, the Aquatic News Network. I feel like we blur the line too much for people between ponds and puddles. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, far too much. Yeah. I think my goal is always, what will I not regret? And so if I use a smaller pond, smaller animals tend to make me regret it less. Like, oh yeah, it could be Shubunkins and comets. It could be rice fish. I try not to put this giant animal in the small pond and I'll just be a slave to it. I'll do 2 water changes a week through the summer. Like, that sounds like I'm not having fun. Have I done that? Yes, I have. I have had like 1,000-gallon swimming pools basically to raise koi because I knew I'm like building the pond or I'm moving, or there's been times I've had to do that. Or I was in a temporary house and we moved him house and then I put him in a pond that I built. So there are times to do that, but it's not enjoyable necessarily. And most people want, they want to sit down, feed their koi, enjoy it, have people look at it while you're barbecuing, all of those kinds of things. So I don't want to be a slave to it. I've been wondering this for a while. I haven't seen an unboxing video at your store in forever. Why do you guys stop doing those? What? 1, they suck, and 2, they suck. But we did one like not that long ago. It's probably been 6 months now. Let's see. When did I do my last unboxing? Let's see. It's looking further and further. I filmed one. Yeah, right here. I filmed one. We released it on October 22nd. It was like yesterday. Feels like yesterday. Mostly, I have zero passion to do another unboxing. I have done, I was going to say hundreds, but probably not hundreds, but I have unboxed thousands and thousands and thousands of boxes of fish. And yeah, I would film someone else's unboxing at their store. I would do any of that. If we get employees that want to do it, maybe we'll listen to it. But also, they don't perform well. So I don't want to do it, and people don't want to watch it in aggregate. Like, there's always 11 people in the room that goes, I would watch it for 400 hours. Like, but 11 of you will not keep us employed. So we sprinkle it in. When I do enjoy it, it's got to be something new. Like, do we get a bunch of cool new fish, or am I just regurgitating? And here we have neon tetras, and rummy nose tetras, and stir-by corridoras, and rosy barbs, and snails, and snails. And there's a discus, and a discus, and a discus. Yep, they individually bag, and a discus, and a discus, and exotic pleco. 1, exotic pleco 2. Oh, we got 9 of those? Okay, 9. And so it's not fun. And so I basically don't want to do work that's not fun anymore. So that's why I don't do them very often. Would I rather do Pseudomogil, Gertrude, Aereo 2, or Praecox in a 29? I've got some different rainbow, or some different rainbow or rainbow-ish fish. I like Gertrudes more than I like the Praecox. They're both good fish, but you get more money. I would probably actually do Luminatus, so the red ones. That's what I would do. Yeah. Trying to think of other, maybe a pair of Achilles. You could have a lot of fun with a pair of Achilles too. Are those rainbow fish going to take behind me? There are rainbows. There's also longfin rosy barbs. There's a Ellipsifer eel. There's some Burchardii tetras. There's, I think mostly just that. Yeah. Oof, it's after 5. All right. I was only going to do an hour, and then turns out I'm going to do 2 hours. I have to run and buy parts for tomorrow. I'm going to be at the store working on some stuff, and I still got to buy parts. So, eat dinner, go buy parts, prepare for tomorrow. 2 hours, done. I don't want to end on that bummer note, though, because unboxings, one, I just don't have the time. I live far enough away now where going to the store and back is like a 3-hour round trip with traffic, so it's not really just pop in and do it real quick. It's like, I gotta spend like the day there. And not that I wouldn't spend the day at my store, it's that I don't have the spare days. I'm literally trying to move fish around. I don't got spare time. And so we got to get to a point where expansion's done, tariff thing stuff is done. I feel like there's another big project. Some of these products launched and that kind of stuff done. And if I'm sitting around going, maybe I'll go hang out at the store today. Totally could film an unboxing then. But until that happens, and that hasn't happened in quite a while, just not enough time in the day. I don't know. I need to film a store tour, and I haven't done that in a long time either. Oh, my wife. Tell everyone we saw a bird doing. As I was putting a dish near the sink, not in the sink, I'm the near the sink guy. It was cool to watch the bird get in the worm. Like I've never, like you've seen it like maybe fly with a worm, but I literally watched it like struggle to fight it to get it out of the ground, like kept pulling and got on the ground. Then I had to keep like whipping it around, and then it finally like got it just right and gulped it down. It was like I don't know, like a robin or something. I don't know what it was, but I was basically like, yeah, nature, doing nature things. Like that's fun to watch and that's cool, and I enjoy that. Because it had just been a big rain, and then it got sunny, and the worms were kind of up towards the surface, and I didn't ever wake up early enough to get the worm. Early bird gets the worm. Well, I'm not up early enough to watch birds doing their thing, so I gotta do it midday. I need that midday bird to get in the worm. So, oh no, yeah, Mullen podcasts, it will get me trolled. I'm not a birder. I happened to look at a bird. I should say that goes even more in the category of I'm not a birder. I don't go out of my way. I'd happen to see it. So, yeah, how big was the worm? Like 3-4 feet, like this big around. It was crazy, dog. I'm not a birder. Did I listen to the Pawpaw song? I did. We all listened to the Pawpaw song. It did happen. Yes. The bird is the word. I feel like you can educate and show us how your products work and how they're improved. Then I'm still learning. I feel if you can educate and show us how your products work and how they're improved, then yeah. I mean that's pretty much the goal. Just hang out, make some stuff every once in a while. Hopefully you guys buy it, and then we do another thing. Oh no, my wife is just burying me. And what do we have in the pond on the floating tree dock? We've got nesting Canadian geese where they raised babies last year and now they're raising babies again, and it's super cool, and we look at them every day because it's nature. It could be two deers on our floating tree island thing having a baby and I'd be watching it. They just happen to be birds. Yeah. Any nature is cool to me. But yes, we do have, hopefully we'll be getting a, little baby goose. I gotta sneeze any minute now. And that is fun to watch. And then you get about a week and a half of like, that baby's dope. And then they fly away forever for the season. You're like, but I was watching that baby. So, yes. I should probably get the camera out and just like enhance. To show some geese. And the 4 people that think it's cool will think it's cool. But yes, these are all accidental bird sightings. They are not, like, I am not setting up a chair. I'm not in a perch. I don't have the binoculars going, any birds out today? I'm the opposite of that. Any eagles? I haven't seen the eagles for a bit. Like bald eagles and stuff. They nest around our parts, but haven't seen it in a while. Yeah. What stage of denial is a scoping strategy? It's pretty hard denial, yeah. Yes, enjoy nature daily, but not too many birds. I'm not a birder. I need that on a shirt right now. Enjoy nature daily, but not birds. Yeah. Birds are robots. Birds are cool. I only have the grievance that I'm not a birder. I don't go out of my way to spot birds, write them down in a journal, or take pictures of them. I just happen to look at things, and when things look cool, I look at them more. Whether it's a fish, a bug, a plant. We've been geeking out. Our plants are, like the pear tree flowered, and like some other stuff that we planted 2 years ago finally flowered in our yard, and, looking at the natures. Every once in a while, there we go. I enjoy nature daily, and every once in a while, a bird gets in the way and ruins my nature. That's more of what's going on here. Bird binoculars. That's pretty good. Yeah. No, there is nothing wrong with watching birds. Birds are fascinating. Yeah. Like, peacocks look cool. You're like, oh, peacocks look really cool. If you've ever been near peacocks, those things can be quite intimidating. Like when I was at the zoo, when I went to the zoo, the Point Defiance Zoo, to learn from Dr. Tim Miller Morgan about fish diseases, and we were waiting around, and those peacocks were not having it. They were aggressive, and I was like, whoa, this nature, spicy nature over here. So, yes. All right, I have to go. Nerd binoculars, I like that too. I think bird binoculars is the winner for me so far. So bird binoculars is winning. My wife, again, she knows my humor. The puns are strong. So, yes. Velociraptors live among us, and we call them cassowaries. I don't know if I said that right. Cassowary? I think it's the first time I've ever said that out loud. Cassowary? I don't know. There's an incredible aviary in Brazil. I'm not going to pronounce the first 2 words. One of the coolest experiences, if you ever go to Brazil trip, you could tie it in. Yeah, we haven't done there. You can get up at like the crack of dawn, like 5 a.m. And there's a specific spot where like thousands of parrots go when you're in Peru. And Dean and I were like, bored. Not bored, but like, need sleep. Can't do that. Exhausted. And on like the last day, they're like, do you want to do it? And I'm like, I'm trying not to die right now. Like, I don't feel good. And it's like an hour. We would have had to leave the place we were staying with like the wax floors and no working plumbing and all of that at 3 o'clock in the morning to get there by the time daylight would happen. And then it was a very long trip home. And I'm like, well, I don't know. And we had to pay for all like the diesel and everything. So it was going to be like a few $100s to go do it also. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm cool. We'll get that on the next trip. And then we never did that trip again. So I totally missed out. So I skipped out on the parrot thing. And I skipped out on trying, what is it, gerbil? Is it gerbil? No, guinea pig. I skipped trying guinea pig. I haven't tried that either. So, but I have had pakuru and lots of like plecos, discus, shovel nose catfish, other stuff. Have not tried the guinea pig, and I have not seen the parrots. So, and that's where we'll leave it. I am deficient in parrots, not parents. Deficient in parrots. All right. We'll see you. Well, I'll see a lot of you in the podcast when I release it on Thursday because we'll film it on Thursday. Otherwise, we'll see you in a video probably, I don't know, sometimes weekend or Monday or something like that. Meanwhile, watch for it. We'll tell you when all the stuff comes in. If you don't need 1-pound containers, buy all your stuff now. And now I have to go prototype bird binoculars. So we'll see you around. Oh, I got to click buttons still. Buttons are so archaic. Who clicks buttons still? I hate it. AI, save me from button clicks. Just read my face. When I make this face, we're done.